Good morning. This is Life's Dream, number 90, and this features the marvelous Marcella Detroit.
You notice we're not starting with music, and that's because Marcy has so much to say.
Yes, she does, and it's so fascinating, so much fun.
So she's got a great, funny story about Bob Dylan, a beautiful story about Elton John when she did a duet with him, and about Santana and Leon Russell, and of course a lot of stories about Eric Clapton and Shakespears Sister and Bob Seger, and we're providing links
to the music.
Yeah, we're going to provide all kinds of links in the description of the video, so that you'll be able to go to these links and see some amazing things by Marcy.
She even sang opera.
Yeah, and she got a duet with Robin Gibb and Elton John, and Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees, and amazing. So just let's get into this right away.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
We can't wait.
It's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Really good. Ready to be entertained?
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to entertain. I remember being totally intimidated by you.
You were intimidated by me?
Yes. We were. It was. First, it was at a rehearsal. I think.
It was at the rehearsal for the Blues Festival, Chicago Blues Festival, right?
Yeah, for the Chicago Blues Reunion. It was you and Tracy Nelson.
Yeah.
Were the singers, and everyone was there. Sam Lay and Barry Goldberg and Nick Revenitis and Harvey Mandel. And I remember we were at Fitzgerald's where we were sort of doing a dress rehearsal for the audience. Yeah. And you were in the back, putting on your makeup, and I was back there too. And I was just really intimidated, and finally we talked and we had a nice conversation. And then you told me that I was like sort of an influence on you at one point or something like that.
Sort of. Yeah. When I was I've always been involved in music, since I was like 5 years old and maybe earlier. I always loved music, and I was always in school choirs and plays and duos and trios and quartets and quintets and whatever. Started playing violin when I was 7. And then I went on to guitar and picked up a harmonica and ukulele and a little bit of piano. My dad loved music, so he encouraged me. But when I got more serious about it, and when I got into my kind of, miserable teenage years, I got even more into music because it brought me comfort. I locked myself in my room and play guitar for an hour, and I'd come out feeling, I feel so much better now that I have that release. So then I started getting more into blues. Well, I loved rock and roll. I loved the Beatles, but I really loved the blues. Like I loved Lead Belly. So when I finally heard about you and Siegel Schwall, I used to sneak into clubs underage to go see you guys play. Whenever I could, I drove with my friends to Ann Arbor to see, what was the name of that theater that you guys played at in Ann Arbor, on State Street? What was that theater? You played at a theater, and I used to go see you play there all the time. I think you played at the East Town as well. I used to go wherever you guys played, I went to see you, and I was just blown away with you, and you inspired me. I never heard anyone play harmonica like you.
Wow. And
you inspired me to, pick up a harmonica and to play in front of you, now talk about being intimidated. But, you really inspired me to want to improve and to get a chance to finally meet you and play with you was incredible when that kind of thing happens. And you're also an amazing, wonderful person. So that was the icing on the cake.
So thank you for that, Mars.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. You got me so distracted by that. But I was so, on the other side, I was so intimidated to meet you because you're this amazing singer and performer. And then there was a point where for some reason you weren't going to work with the Chicago Blues Reunion for a while. And I thought, well, maybe she'll do chamber blues. Yeah. And I considered it a way, way, way long shot. And you said, yeah, and we've been doing it. And so speaking of the harmonica, I'll play that little piece from your song.
Okay.
Where we're doing the little harmonica duet. I'll play that.
Okay, great.
Show people about your harp playing, which is brilliant. And I love playing harmonica with you.
There goes her man.
You don't hold back. You do your thing at the rehearsal. It's quite.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I shouldn't. I remember one guy when I was working on a record once with Clapton, that this guy was saying, save it, save it. When we were just running stuff through. But I just can't help it. Music excites me.
Yeah,
right?
There's nothing to save.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah. So, okay. So enough about me. We dread the question, how did you get your start? You know what I mean? Because everyone asks you that and it's like, oh God, how boring. But your start wasn't boring.
I was a hippie. I used to go to these parks in Detroit and take my guitar and play, and it would make me feel really good. So one day in Detroit, I was at this beautiful park in Birmingham, Michigan, which is a really nice area. I was sitting in there and the sun was shining down on my face. And I can remember this vividly. I remember looking up at the sky and going, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And I made that decision. And then I put this is the funny part, I put my name in an ad, a wanted ads on this local station in Detroit called WABX FM, hosted by Russ Gibb. I'm sure he played your music. And my ad was girl singer looking for blues band.
Wow.
Yeah. I got a call from these guys who lived in Ypsilanti, and they wanted me to come and audition for the band. So I went, I moved out of my parents' house. I brought my mattress and a few, clothes, and I lived on Twinkies for about 2.5 months. I ended up being in a band in Detroit called Julia, and we started to do really well. And we were managed by Punch Andrews, who was Bob Seger's manager. We ended up being in Bob's band, and that's when the real touring started. We went to Tulsa, Oklahoma to record his Back in 72 album. And we recorded it at Leon Russell's Lake studio. I was a huge Leon Russell fan, and my goal was to work with Leon Russell. I was kind of vocally featured on one of the songs called Rosalie. And then ended up, there was another girl in the band with me named Sean Murphy, and we had a song in his show. He let us do our own song. So Sean and I, one night, we did so well that Bob fired us after the show. Said, you guys are fired. We're like, what the fuck? We're fired. Yeah, because we stole, the attention away from him. But the next day he hired us back. Anyway, so that was really funny. So after about 9 or so months touring all over the country and opening, playing shows with Bo Diddley and all these, amazing iconic bands, Chuck Berry and whatnot. And I ended up thinking, well, I think I'm going to leave this band. I just want to get back to Detroit and figure out what I want to do next. The guys from Tulsa invited me to come and start a band with them. So I thought, well, this is a great opportunity. Maybe I'll get to meet Leon Russell too. We played in Tulsa for about 9 months. Leon would come and see us play and sit in with us, and J.J. Cale, the people from the Gap Band. So many great people would come and sit in with us. And then Carl Radel from Derek and the Dominoes, bass player for Eric Clapton. He came to see us one night or a few nights and sat in with us, and Eric was looking for a new band. So Carl said to Eric, you should check these guys out. So he came to Tulsa and loved us and wanted to hire us. But I had already gotten an invite to join Leon's band, and there was no way I was going to pass that up. All my friends went off to tour with Eric. I stayed with Leon. I was in his band. The Gap Band were the band, and I was one of the female singers, and I was vocally featured. I always wanted to be one of those girls that was vocally featured with Leon Russell, because he always had these amazing female singers. So when it was me, I was just, wow, this is like a dream. This is incredible. And I was really, I was blown away by it and really grateful, really grateful. So that was an honor. Well, after that band ended and my relationship with Leon ended a few months before that, but my friends were in Jamaica recording with Eric, and they invited me to come down there and work on an album that he was working on. There's one in every crowd. And after like 5 days recording, Eric said, hey, you want to be in the band? And I was like, what am I, nuts? Of course I want to be in the band. Tour the world with my best friends and work with Eric Clapton, who, I loved his solo album that he did with Delaney and Bonnie, and After Midnight and Bottle of Red Wine and all those really cool songs. And, not to mention Cream, I was a huge Cream fan. That was an honor to work with Eric. And I was in his band twice, 74 to 79. During that time, I helped write, some incredible songs like The Core. That was my first introduction to really being respected as a songwriter, because I helped him write Lay Down Sally. We were in a studio in London, and we were at this place called Olympic, an iconic studio. And in those days, you'd go in the studio, not necessarily prepared. You would just think on the spot. And with Eric, money was no object. Robert Stigwood had loads of money and just kind of let Eric get on with it. So this one day we're in there working on the Slow Hand album, and Eric said to me, hey, Marcy, I want to write a song called Lay Down Sally. So something about that title evoked, and it just inspired a melody. And I completely just immediately came up with an idea for that lyric. I just picked up a guitar and started playing, but it was like a Bo Diddley kind of groove, the one I came up with for the groove. That goes, lay down, Sally, rest you in my arms. It was like that. And we worked on it all day long in that format. But we could never quite come up with the verse. So after about 5 hours, the keyboard player went back to the hotel to do whatever. All of a sudden, Eric started playing the iconic kind of J.J. Cale groove. And Glyn Johns, the producer, was like, okay, we're going to record this. This is fantastic. Everybody, get behind your mics, get on your instruments. The keyboard player left, like I said. So I actually played piano on that. And then, Eric said to me, okay, go back to the hotel tonight and write the lyrics. So I came back the next day with the whole song. We had written the chorus, but we still didn't have a verse. So I came up with the rest of the lyrics and the melody for the verse. Came back the next day and recorded it. And it was the same with the core. He had that really cool groove, and we had the song, and Jamie Oldaker came up with this amazing drum groove for that song. It's really iconic and so unusual. And Dick Sims had some really cool sounds, and Carl and Radel. And it was the same kind of thing. We laid down the track, and Eric said the same thing. Okay, go back and write the lyrics. So the funny story about that is people ask me, what's this song about? Well, you can hear it in the second verse. I say, every day a fire alarm is deafening the silence all around me. It's like something woke me up, and I feel so alive at the core of my being, and I don't want to waste it. It's really about that. It's about having this fire inside and owning it. And what happened was at this hotel we were staying in London, every night at midnight, this fire alarm would go off. Literally, it would go off. So if you were trying to sleep, it would be impossible, because sometimes you'd have to actually go outside and leave the hotel. Like, this is not a drill. So I just thought, well, when I came up with this idea for the core, I thought, I'm going to put that in the song, because that's partly what inspired it. Oh, you can think of it as a bad thing, or an annoying thing, or think of it as something that is inspiring. So that's what I did, and I included it in the song. And I had the opportunity to write, I think there were about 8 or 9 songs in total, what I did. I ended up moving to LA and doing a lot of session work for so many different people. David Foster, who is an iconic producer, he produced an album on me, which never came out on RSO Records. We did about 4 or 5 songs. The label didn't like it. But with some of the finest musicians, like Jeff Porcaro and all of Toto were on the recordings we did. And then I started doing work for like Arif Mardin, one of the greatest producers of all time. He would call me, oh, Marcy, can you please come and put a vocal on this demo for Bette Midler? And then he would have me come in, and I would sing, this song that he wanted Bette to do, and then he'd have me do the background vocals. And I thought, oh man, I would love to work with Arif on my own record. And we even talked about that. I sent him a few songs over the years, and he really liked some of them, but sadly that never happened. Anyway, and I worked with George Duke and Stanley Clarke, and with Jeffrey Osborne and Leo Sayer and Melissa Manchester. And with George Duke, I had the opportunity to write a song, and it got presented to Al Jarreau. You asked me to talk about my life and my career. I can go on and on. If you want me to shut up, I will.
No, go. We'll edit this. Okay. We'll pick out the, fill stuff in and everything.
Yeah.
Did you mention Aretha Franklin?
Oh, yeah. And Aretha Franklin, when I was doing a lot of session work, I was getting calls like almost every day, to do work for lots of these great artists. And Aretha was my vocal idol. I grew up with her singing. And I think, part of my sound is inspired by her, really. So, yeah, I was asked to do this session for Aretha on a song called Love All the Hurt Away. It was a duet with George Benson. And that was a real honor. People asked me, well, was she there? No, she wasn't there, but she came in at the end of the session, and she was listening, walking around the studio going, yeah, that sounds really good. I was like, oh my God, it's Aretha. Ah! and the song that I wrote for, that went to Al Jarreau, George Duke produced it. called One Way that I co-wrote with a guy named Billy Hughes. And then I got to do background vocals with Al Jarreau in the studio. And what an amazing singer that man. Oh my God. And I toured with George Duke. We went to Japan, and I worked with Alice Cooper. You know, he had me sing a duet with Alice Cooper, a song called Millie and Billy about these two people in an insane asylum. I thought, wow, this song is really weird. But Alice was very cool. And you know, I really got my studio training working with David Foster. Like, he worked my ass. I mean, there was one song he had me do these background vocals, and he wanted me to do some wailing at the end. And it was all, you know, when you're really inspired, you're doing this improvisational stuff. It's just stuff that comes from your higher self, and you don't, it's not so easy to recount. You know what I mean? So after I did this whole outro to the song, he came on the talk back. He said, "Great, double it." And I was like, double it? Oh man, that was hard. But I did it. And it was a really good lesson, you know. People used to call me the song seamstress, because they'd come to me and they'd ask me, "What do you think of this? What can I add to this?" And I would make a suggestion. Anyway, so that's how I met Siobhan, through Richard. He and I wrote a lot of songs together, including Promises and another song called Tangled in Love, which got me back into Eric's band in 1985. And Phil Collins called and said, "Can you come down to Montserrat and bring a friend who can sing?" So I brought one of the best female singers I've ever heard in my life, named Shawn Murphy. And she and I went down there, and then a few days later, "You want to be in the band?" So we toured for about a year. But I realized that, you know, well, I'm really grateful for this, and I could be in Eric's, you know, I could play with Eric for, you know, however long, but I just noticed whenever I was doing interviews, people were always asking me, they didn't really care about me. They wanted to know about Eric's drug and drink problems and, you know, women. And I'm like,
yeah, I meant to ask you about that.
you know,
Just kidding.
Although my work with Eric was, I was really incredibly grateful, and I can't, you know, stress that fact enough. It was fantastic. But I really wanted to do my own thing. To do that was to maybe break away, you know, from just being seen as a background singer. So I left the band, and I know people were upset with me. So I went back to LA, and I started doing more session work and working on my own music. And I had some management. I was doing some shows, and I actually got another record deal with Epic Records. But yeah, so then my friend Richard got some new neighbors. Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics and Siobhan Fahey, they were just newly married. They moved in across the street from him. And he had a studio, a really nice studio in his house. And so she was really pregnant, and she was getting ready to leave Bananarama. So he invited me to come and work with them. So I went to work with them, and, you know, I sang, I played, you know, harmonica and guitar, and helped write and sing. And as time went on, my contribution became more integral to the band. At first, I was just like a hired hand. And then the second album, you know, the record company approached me and said, "We want you to be a 50% member." So I signed on as 50% member, and we had great success with our second album, called Hormonally Yours, because we were both pregnant at the time, full of hormones. And yeah, we toured the world, and had the longest running #1 ever in history for a female band in the UK. 8 weeks at #1 to the song Stay, which I was vocally featured on for the first time.
There's Shakespears Sister.
Yeah, that's Shakespears Sister. Yeah. We did our American tour, and we were supposed to go back and do the gig at Albert Hall, which to me would have been a pinnacle of success, right? And we were getting ready to do the show, and I was holed up in a hotel. And then I got a call from her saying that, you know, the band was over and we weren't going to do the show. She needed to, you know, deal with some personal issues. You know, I sang one song, and it was our hugest hit, and it wasn't my fault. You know, I didn't make it happen. The label loved it. The people loved it. And, you know, I was grateful for that, but it was just so silly. I just love music, and I always try to do my best. Sometimes, you know, you get caught up in the drama. I try not to, but it's hard when it affects you personally.
Yeah, you're way beyond having to think about stuff like that. You just sing. You're an amazing singer. You've paid your dues, and you've been accepted by the Lord of the Muse as a great artist.
So we got Chris Thomas, who produced the Shakespears Sister, the hit Stay, and we got him to produce my Jewel album. So while we were working on my album, we got a call one day from Elton, and Elton said, you know, I'm getting ready to do my Duets for One CD. I'd love you to produce it. And Chris said, oh, I can't because I'm working on Marcella Detroit's album. And so he said, oh, I'd love to have her do a song with me. Have her pick a song. So I was like, okay, well, what song? I mean, I thought, well, I would love to do an Elton song. So how about we do the Border Song, which is one of my favorite Elton John songs. And he said, no, he didn't want to do that. So I said, well, how about a Motown song? I suggested Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. And he said, great. So we worked on it. We came up with our own take on it. We did it more like Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing kind of groove. And worked on it. He came to the studio. He was so nice. And we sang the vocal together. We were in the studio singing. He brought me this beautiful bouquet of flowers. And he was just an amazing human being and wonderful to work with. And we ended up doing a show in London called Top of the Pops because it was released as a single. It was on my album and his album. And then he invited me to come to Paris. We flew in a private jet to Paris, and we were going to do this song at this show. It was like in support of AIDS, but all of a sudden this group called Act Up stopped the show. Liza Minnelli was in one dressing room. I was in another. Elton was there, and we were all getting ready. And he bought me this beautiful outfit for the show. They went to Versace, and he brought me this beautiful outfit. Now we were getting ready to perform, and all of a sudden the show was stopped by this group, these protesters. So we never got to do the show. And then Elton left at about midnight, and Liza Minnelli was getting really drunk. And we were like, okay, well, that was a free trip to Paris with Elton. That was fun. And that was kind of the end of that. And I just went on to
do the video.
We did an amazing video together. It's really cool.
I'll link people to it.
Yeah.
So they could watch that video.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Beautiful. Santana.
Oh, Santana. Yeah, well, I met Santana, and he and I became friends. He was wonderful. And I saw him when I rejoined Eric in 2018, when I knew Eric was going to be in London doing his Hyde Park Summer Festival thing. So I asked his personal assistant, who's a friend of mine, I said, hey, I'm going to be in London doing my own shows. Maybe Eric would like to do, I would like to do a few songs with him if he'd be up for it. And he got back to me a few weeks later saying Eric would love to do that. So I joined him on stage, and he introduced me as, and here's the lady who wrote the song. And then we started doing Lay Down Sally. It was so cool. That was the year for things kind of like my life coming full circle when I rejoined Shakespears Sister, and when I was saw Eric again for the first time since 1985, when we did Live Aid. It was like my musical life coming full circle. It was really an incredible year to do that. And it was wonderful. We did Lay Down Sally, and we did the core, and I went and did my own shows. And then we had a Shakespears Sister reunion, which was a real surprise. And we did an EP. In between that time, though, I did about 7 solo albums. after my Jewel album, which was with Elton, I did a song called Feeler, which was on an independent label. And I traveled to Japan many times, did some shows. I was signed to Sony TriStar, and then I did more independent albums. I became an independent artist. And I revisited the blues. I ended up working with you. I ended up, doing the Chicago Blues Festival with you numerous times, like with Siegel Schwall and then with you. And that was incredible. Yeah, we did Mexico as well. Yeah, that was really fun. That was a lot of fun.
I remember the Chicago Blues Festival. That was the first time you played with Siegel Schwall. And we were doing the Blues Festival, main stage and everything. And the way I reported it, first of all, the guy from Mexico came, Raul came to hear us. And he said, I love Marcy. Everyone loves Marcy. And this is every time Marcy puts the microphone down, the audience stands up. It's like every time you sang, the audience gave you a standing ovation. And then, in Mexico, I remember all this. So Billy Branch was there.
Yeah.
Playing. And Gilles, that's when we all met Gilles. Gilles was there. The Frenchican.
Who was it?
The Frenchican.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he was there. So anyway, we're all in the lobby. Well, first of all, we had played the night before, and Billy Branch saw the Siegel Schwall set. He was in the wings.
Yeah.
And when you came on and sang, you could look in the wings and see all the singers, all the women singers from Chicago, and Billy Branch and his band all going.
Really?
And I came off the stage and she said, where did you find her?
Wow.
Oh my God, people were just totally freaking out. So the next day we're waiting to do another concert, and the whole crew and everyone is down in the lobby, and you're showing up later than everyone else. I mean, you were on time, but basically everyone was there in the lobby, and we're all waiting for you. And the elevator's doors open up, and there in the elevator is Cleopatra. Cleopatra Levy.
Oh, really? Really? I was Cleopatra?
She walks out of the elevator, and everyone is like dead silence on an in-breath. Wow. And I turn to Billy and everyone else and I say, yeah, but can she sing?
Oh my God.
And that's when Billy invited me and you up to play harmonica with him.
That was
on his show, which was really fun. Really fun.
That was unforgettable.
So we had so much fun.
No, I'm kidding. No, that was really a one of a kind experience. Yeah, being up there, the three of us together, that was like incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had some fun.
We've had some fun. Yeah. I have been in this room that is behind me. This is my music room, i.e. studio. It's basically a bedroom that has an iMac with all my, gear in here and my music software. And I've written
a bedroom with speakers.
A bedroom with speakers, yeah, and musical instruments. And I've written about 50 songs since March. Lance has sung on some of it. Yeah, he's done some beautiful vocals. He has a great voice. That's my husband, Lance Aston, who was star of the stage and screen in London, in London's West End. He was in a lot of musicals like Cats and Chorus Line, but he also, was in Eurovision Song Contest, which is huge. A lot of people in America don't know about it, but he was in a band that was, that had a song and did pretty well in that. Yes,
he went on the road with you and me in Holland.
Yeah, that's right.
The four of us went on the road doing a few solo things, or whatever you call them. And he sang with us, and he actually danced, and he did tap dancing, and it was like unbelievable. That was just so much fun.
He's a great dancer and singer. He's been in show business since he was a child. He was in the movie Oliver, singing on the soundtrack. Yeah, he's on the original soundtrack, and he's done some incredible stuff. Yeah, and he came with us and did that. Was it a 3-year or a 4
tour?
It's a tour. Yeah, the tour.
A tour, 2 gigs. No, I think it was.
No, I think it was 3 or 4.
It was a 3-year, because I would tell people want to know. So, how much traveling were you doing, before the pandemic? And I said, well, I did a 3-year tour with Marcy and her husband, Lance. 3 years? No, a 3-year. TREE-ER, a 3-year, where we did 3 gigs. It was a 3-year tour.
Oh my God.
As opposed to a tour, which is 2 gigs, a tour.
Tour.
A tour.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. We had some fun. Yeah, and hopefully, spread love and goodness and bring our observations about life through our music to the world, because I think it's important.
Well, I use this quote a lot from Dr. L. Subramaniam, who you met. I was working on this song that was really a highly political song about who do you follow?
Right.
Do you follow vengeance or forgiveness? And I was just showing him the lyrics, and he says, it's really difficult to change people's minds with words, but you can change their hearts with song.
Ah, I love that. Yeah, it gave me chills.
Yeah, so that's our job.
Yeah, I mean, if what we were doing was, touting, violence and rebellion and evil, that would be one thing. But we're trying to promote goodness and care and peace and love and understanding. It's really pretty obvious.
The truth is best served on a beautiful, warm platter.
I love that.
So we can do that.
Yeah.
But
I try to do that. I try not to be reactive. Sometimes it's hard. I was asked to do this TV show in London called From Pop Star to Opera Star. I used to say, people say, what's it like singing that song? And I would say, just imagine the highest note you could possibly imagine to start a song on, and it goes from there. Wow, it was a challenge, but it was incredible. It was just.
And then the Bee Gees.
And that was with Robin Gibb. And Robin and I did a song for the movie Times Square. We had like the title, the end song, the credit song called Help Me. Robin and Blue Weaver wrote the song, and I went down to Miami to Criteria Studio to do the vocal and did the vocal with Robin. And then they flew me to England to do the video with him. And he called me to work later with Jimmy Ruffin. I did a duet with Jimmy Ruffin called Where Do I Go, which was on one of Jimmy's solo albums that Robin produced. So yeah, working with Robin was great too. What a brilliant talent. He did so many incredible songs, but he was also such an emotive singer himself with the most unusual voice, but a brilliant musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Bob Dylan?
Oh, I pick up the phone and I say, hello. And he goes, hey, Marcy. I'm like, yeah, this is Marcy. This is Bob. I'm like, oh, Bob who? Dylan. I'm like, oh, hi, Bob. How you doing? Well, I'd like you to come to this rehearsal that I'm doing and bring your guitar. So he asked me to come and he said, pick up your guitar and can you play Lay Down Sally? So I played my version of Lay Down Sally, and the band all were chiming in and playing along, and the girls were singing, and it was great. And, it was a really fun experience. Well, then I got a call a few days later. He asked me if I wanted to be in his band. I love Bob Dylan, and it would have been an honor. But at the time, I was working on doing my own record and trying to achieve my own dream. And so I said no. I turned Bob Dylan down. I don't know. But I was honored to get that call.
The best of two worlds, getting the offer and not having to do it. You didn't have to do the work, but you got the acclaim.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So there you go. So Bob Dylan, what else did we leave out? We got the most important thing, which was Lance.
Lance, yeah.
That was the most important.
That was really the most important thing.
Now, I know you guys enjoyed that, but I know you also enjoy music.
It was wild, right?
Yeah. But the next one, I'm going to do tons of music to make up for that, but we really wanted to get to Marcy, and you could see why.
So Zoom, it's time for the Zoom.
Time for the Zoom, and maybe Marcy and Lance will join us.
You never know. See you on the Zoom, and you can get to the Zoom how, Corky?
I can't remember. Oh, yeah. corkymusic.com/stream. That page has all the links to everything.
Yep.
corkymusic.com/stream.
Stream.
Okay.
See you on the Zoom.